Sold by Patricia McCormick. The novel tells the story of a young girl, Lakshmi, who lived in the mountainous area of Nepal along with her family. They spent each and every second of their days planting and tending for their crops. They, along with their neighbors, made the most out of the little that they had. In Lakshmi's long and tireless days, she had many things to keep her company. She spent time with the animals around her, including her pet sheep, Tali, and treated them as her bestest friends. Yet suddenly, the pleasant, quaint village in which they lived instantly became a disastrous place. At first, a drought had affected the entire land. Rain did not fall for months, and water had not reached their tongues. Praying for rain, after months and months they got what they asked for, but not exactly in the way that they wanted. A flood came, a time where rain did not stop falling. It washed away all of their crops, and their soil was left barren. Lakshmi and her family were left in extreme poverty. Without crops, there was no money and no food to be put on the plate. Now Lakshmi once had a friend, Geeta, who were inseparable at such a young age. Her family forced her to move away to the city in order to make money against her will. Lakshmi was a girl of dreams. One of them to see her best friend again, another to further her education and remain number one in her class, and lastly, for her and her family to become wealthier. Yet with this disaster at hand, her father forced her to move away to the city in order to provide a decent income for her family, just like Geeta. Her father arranged for a relative stranger to take her to the city and sold her for money, and both Lakshmi and the woman set out on their journey. Lakshmi had heard of many things about the city and was curious to discover this new world. She had hopes for seeing her best friend Geeta again and was willing to do whatever her family asked. Although Lakshmi was fooled into thinking she would be working as a housemaid, a girl who folded laundry, who swept the floors, and would be given orders by her boss frequently. Yet the job in which she was to fulfill was not at all what she was expecting. Lakshmi was sold for a tremendous amount of money to a woman named Mumtaz. She was placed into a tiny room in which she was forced to sleep with strangers. Lakshmi had now become a girl placed into the sex trafficking ring. She was in a state of despair and depression, as she felt unclean and disappointed in what she was doing. Forced to sleep with dozens of customers a day, she became prone to numerous sexually transmitted diseases. Yet the job paid well, and knowing this, she would do anything to provide for her family. When she asked when she was allowed to leave, the woman in which owned her told her she would have to stay until she paid off her debt, which was extremely costly. As Lakshmi heard this, she knew she would be there for several years more. Only, this gave her a sense of hope. She did not agree with what she was doing, but she did it to escape her misery. She was tormented and utterly abused, yet nothing stopped her from reaching her goal. Years upon years she worked to pay her debt, until she discovered that she would never return home. She wrote letters and spoke with the other girls who were in this rink as well, and yet it was impossible for them to escape. One day, an American man had entered into her room. Thinking he was there to sleep with her, she made her moves on him, but that was not his intention. He wanted to get her out. The man knew she was in this predicament, and was sure he could get her out as soon as possible. Lakshmi waited for days, and the man did not return. Her hope had decreased. One day, Lakshmi and all the other girls were saved by the Americans. They were set free of their owner and their own ways. They were no longer slaves, and the women were ready to begin their lives once again, never looking back at what they used to be.